What are you doing, little buddy?
Steam curls up like a lazy.
Hey, stop it. Stop trying to eat everything. Go catch some bugs. Come on. Don't pull on my thing. Well, I thought I'd just quickly jump on to show you how I am working with When Olga Speaks, which is an independent deck created by Sasha Lopez. I did get this deck last year. It is a Kickstarter project. I think it's my second Kickstarter deck. So I was just pulling my card for the week, which is the Storyteller. But then 3 other cards kind of fell out of the deck. And I thought to myself, okay, so it wants me to, again, work with the archetype of the storyteller and then use the cards to do this little spread here. Now, Sasha, throughout this booklet, has, I think it's 9 archetypes. And for each archetype, she has a little spread and 4 little prompts, and they're a little bit ordered differently on different ones, but the core 4 questions stay quite the same, and it just allows you to dig deeper into what the archetype of the storyteller wants to tell you, and then you can use the cards to go deeper. Usually with my weeklies, I pull 1 card and then I use that 1 card for the week. It sort of gives me an indication of the energy that is that week. However, last week I got the strategist and another card jumped out, and I thought it'd be interesting to actually use the book to dig deeper into the week by following these 4 prompts. So when you flip the page, it does give you a bit of what the storyteller represents as an archetype. It will give you some keywords. It will give you some more questions that might be used as journaling ideas or to dig deeper into the meaning of the card. You can actually do the spread using other cards from this deck, or any other cards that you wish to use. And then if we flip, it will have all the other cards under green. And for instance, I got magnetic as well, and it'll just give you the meaning of the other cards. So my booklet's a bit worse for wear, but it's got different colors, and each different color has an archetype. So for instance, orange, it's the strategist. As you can see here, working with the strategist. Then we turn the page and it will give you, and yada, yada, yada. So you see what I'm saying. This week, I am working with the storyteller. Now, in this, or how Sasha has intended the archetype of the storyteller, is the person in our lives, in our families, who are the ones that tell the family stories, are the memory keepers, are the ones that have the photos or have done the family trees, or like your grandma or your grandpa who has stories of the families and stuff like that. So for instance, in my family at the moment, all my grandparents have passed away, and my mum is the eldest, and she will be the one that will have all her recollections of her childhood and her growing up. She can't remember 5 minutes ago, but she surely can remember a lot of stories of when she was younger. And so when I hang out with her, I appreciate her telling me about my grandma and her and all the things. So long story short, the storyteller is meant to be kind of that figure that you go to that holds the memories of the family. And as the stereotypical storyteller is always that wise person that comes and tells you the stories, and there's always a moral to it. So that's kind of how it is envisioned to be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the storyteller to indicate myself and the stories that I keep telling myself, the beliefs that I hold that keep me stuck. Because I feel that this month it's been a repeating kind of message to clear and cleanse the past, to let go of every single thing that does not serve me and that keeps me stuck and that keeps me in this kind of feeling of I'm not good enough, victim mode. Oh, poor me, woe be me. Why does this keep happening to me? Why is it so hard? Why am I being triggered? This card is in flame. What are the lessons that I need to learn that I learned as a child, but I can actually let go of, right? I don't need to keep rehashing them. I'm done with them. I can let them go. Magnetic, this is a card of what are you thinking? Your thoughts and where your focus is what you will attract. So if you're thinking negative, negative things happen. If you're thinking positive, positive things will happen. If you're thinking, oh, this is fantastic, this is great, this is wonderful, this is what I want to happen, then that is what's going to happen. If you're going to think, oh shit, I'm going to wake up and it's going to be a shit day, oh, and it's raining, oh my God, and this and that and the other, those are the things that you're going to attract, right? So we're all kind of familiar that if we're thinking about what we want to happen as opposed to what we don't want to happen, then we're focusing on a positive thing. We want this good thing to happen to us as opposed to saying, oh shit, I don't want to go to work today because blah, blah, blah. And so I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to go to work today. I've got all this stuff that I need to do today and I'm going to get on top of it and I'm going to be really productive, and you know what I'm saying, right? So for me, it's been a reoccurring message from the start of the year, but especially now that we've got into February with the year of, in Chinese astrology, we've just entered the year of the fire horse, and it's a very potent energy, clearing and cleansing and moving you forward. And fire to me is what is purifying. It burns away and it allows you to start fresh. So it's this cleansing, this moving forward, this getting rid of, this making space for. And I keep getting all these messages, and again, so interesting that this storyteller has come out, right? So let me just read to you what this kind of little spread is all about. So the number one is, what characteristics of the storyteller can you embody or learn from? So I've taken my number one because it fell out in the number one position as lessons. And then the number two here, how does the story that we tell affect our experience? So, of course, if we keep telling ourselves the same old tired story, and I'm a victim and woe be me and blah, 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 and so on and so forth, inflamed, we get triggered, right? Our response is a violent response. We take things personally, we overreact, we become dramatic, all those things that we don't want to be doing. So how are the things that I'm telling myself, and how are these lessons and the reoccurring things keep up popping up for me? How am I not getting out of that cycle of not taking things personally, for instance? As we can see, there's also the Sphinx, right? So our lives are all about learning. You know, we come into the world and learn and gain wisdom, and that wisdom help us move through life, right? And experience more things, and using that wisdom correctly to bring us joy and happiness and understanding that life is meant to be fun. But what we often do is we don't think that way. We think the opposite. And I find that in our society, we are kind of brainwashed into everything is problematic. And see, there's the Sphinx here, you know, with the blue sky. And I mean, the Sphinx is all about riddles and puzzles, and that you have to solve them to move forward. So life is not meant to be easy. Life is a challenge, but that's not to say that you can't find the solutions and move forward and, you know, go into the sunshine and be positive and live your life and be happy, right? It's all kind of in our minds. And I find that I've become better at it, you know, instead of like being, oh, poor me, victim me. Oh, why is this always happening to me? Why are the same things happening? Why is everything so frustrating? Why do I have to go to work every day? Why do I have to, you know, pay my bills and pay my rent and blah, blah, blah? I allow myself to have a bit of a whinge so I can get it off my chest. But then what I do is I flip it. and there's always a story, there's always a lesson to be learned, there's always something positive. And if the bus is late, instead of getting pissed off, I go, okay, so the bus is late. It means that I'm not supposed to get on this bus. I'm supposed to get the next one because there's probably an accident, or there's probably a blockage, or there's probably something somewhere that's going to make me late for work, right? Example. Anyway, let's continue with that. And then my third card here is, what stories have been passed down to us that are no longer part of our story, which is a really good question. So, how in our families there's always the drama is passed down through to us via our DNA too, in our muscles. Our muscles have memory, and it does come down. Trauma is generational as well. What is it exactly that I am on repeat? So with the card of magnetism, of course, as I was saying before, it's what are you thinking? How are you thinking? What you think you attract. The magnetism in this card is all about, attracting positive things. And if you don't think positively, you will be attracting the opposite. So bringing it back to, what are the stories that I keep telling myself? What are the lessons that I'm not learning, or I have learned but I'm ignoring? You know what I mean? Why do I choose to be inflamed or to be triggered? Why am I choosing drama? Why am I choosing to go poke at that hurts? Why am I choosing to take things personally, right? So how can I do better this week? How can I resolve these things that I do? How can I acknowledge them, heal them, let them go? Because here we do have the healing child. Now, the healing child is also another archetype in the deck. So it's very interesting how I started with the storyteller here, and I'm ending with the healing child. And another interesting detail is that there's got 2026 on that door as a number for that home, and we are in 2026. So the thing for me is to focus on inner child work and healing the wounds and traumas of my past. Obviously, all for me is my early childhood, and my teens is where I sort of suffered a lot of traumatic events in my life. I mean, by that, I don't want to be dramatic. It's just that anything that happens to us when that we are mortified, or that we feel guilt, or we feel shame, or we feel hurt because someone's hurt our feelings, all of those are little traumas. And those traumas are triggered by events. And so if we don't deal with those kind of little moments, and we always take things personally, we'll always be triggered by the events outside of ourselves, what other people say, what other people think. And it's very interesting that I am in that stage of my life where I'm learning to not take everything personally, and to not overreact and not be dramatic, because it's really none of my business what other people do and say, and what they think about me is none of my business. I can only do me. I can only show up and be the best possible person I can be a person who holds compassion and love, and tries not to judge, right? So that's the lesson that I have to learn, and I have learned, but I just have to keep enforcing it. That it's my responsibility, that I can do anything that I possibly want to do, and stop telling myself stories that I am not capable, that I'm not good enough. I have to stop telling myself that I'm a victim in all of this, and every day reminding myself that I can do whatever I want to do, because in every now moment I have the possibility to make a different choice. And it's the choice for me is how I'm going to handle the situation, as opposed to how am I going to let that situation affect me. So the last card here, and then I promise I'll stop rambling on, is what stories are important to pass down. So what are you left with after the clearing and cleansing? What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to pass down? How do you want to be present in the world? Because obviously if you are a happy person, then you're going to emanate happiness and joy, and other people want to be around you. Happiness spills out and goes on to other people, and you're spreading high energy, right? But if you're miserable and grumpy and whinging and or living in fear or doom and gloom, then no one wants to be around you. No one wants that kind of energy, and then you're going to take it out on people. You're going to be miserable. You're going to be frustrating, and that's the kind of energy you're vibing with, and that's the energy that you're going to put on other people, right? So realistically, we want to heal those things because we want to bring joy and love and happiness, and just look at the world with childlike wonder, and innocence, and enjoy. Give ourselves permission to enjoy life. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and for some reason we are kind of brainwashed, and we kind of grow up, and all our systems and all our education is all about making us feel little, belittling us, making us feel unworthy. We're always competing. We always have to be better than everybody else. And then if we're not better, we're judged. There's always this judgment. And that's from my generation. I'm in my 50s now, and things might be different for the newer generations, but I've lived with trauma from my parents and my mum's generation, and her grandma. My grandma had 9 sisters. You know what I mean? Can you imagine? And how that must have been, living in a small house because they didn't have a lot of money. Their parents came over from England and Scotland to find a better life here in Australia. They brought their own dramas and griefs and traumas. So I want to be the generational trauma chain breaker. That's how I have seen myself, and I have had certain, let's say, insights that kind of is my role. But it's not only for my own family. It's kind of like I'm working for the community, and I'm working for the collective consciousness as well. So my work on myself and my ability to raise my own vibrations and to heal my own traumas will help others do the same, if that kind of makes sense. So yeah, okay, that was a long and convoluted way of coming on and showing you how I'm working with When Olga Speaks for my weekly pull. As I said, usually I just pull one card, but for some reason I've been called to do the whole kind of spread and work with the spread and the cards this way to address the week coming forward, to focus me, to let me understand the steps that I can take, things that I have to focus on, the energies that I have to be aware of, and most importantly, the stories that I tell myself. To tell myself positive stories, not negative stories. And one final thing that I thought was super interesting was yesterday my card from the Tantric Dakini Oracle deck. Sorry, I know I'm filming with one hand, which is not ideal. Is this card here? It's about the present moment, and this card depicts the eternal present. The spontaneous non-duality of the moment outside of time limitations. It is an initiation into this understanding. Concentration on the potency of living in the present. So I thought I'll just leave it here so you can sort of read that, and then also that bit that flows on from here if you wanted to have a look at that. But I thought that was very interesting, how it is actually our responsibility, how we shouldn't be living in the past and we shouldn't be looking at the future, that we should be living right now in this moment, because all exists is actually really this moment, and we can be the best possible versions of ourselves in every now moment. And if we don't like it in this now moment, we can change that in the next now moment. All right, I think I've rambled enough. Thank you so much for watching, for liking, for subscribing, and until my next one.